Well, we now know cell phones will be banned in classrooms right across Ontario, and it's going to be a big change for students who will no longer be able to access phones during class time. And as a reminder, students from kindergarten to grade 6 are going to be required to put their phones away all day. Older students, grade 7 to 12, can use their phones at lunch or in between classes, but again, no phones in the classroom. So for a closer look at how parents should manage what's to come, we are joined by Karen Irwin. She's a child life specialist and a regular here in your morning. Welcome back.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
So we talked yesterday to the Education Minister, Stephen Lecce, about this, but let's talk about the parent side. We know that bans already exist in Quebec and in BC and in certain schools in the U.S. First of all, let's look at what effect those bans have had on kids.
Yeah, so there's been studies that have shown that they have had a positive impact on kids' academic success. And I think one of the things that's interesting is because there's another study that shows it takes kids 20 minutes after they've been distracted to refocus again. So you can see how removing that distraction can be very helpful.
You're a parent, so what's your reaction to Ontario's ban?
I mean, I think it's a step in the right direction. I think one of the greatest things about it is it's creating conversations like this. I do think, though, it is putting a lot of pressure on the teachers as well as the teacher-student relationship. And so I think that makes even more sense as to why parents have to be a real, player in this whole thing to help make a positive change.
Yeah, let's dig into that. There's some concern that these new rules could lead to more screen time at home. So kids who've been denied access at school for 8 hours a day are now going to want to be on their devices once they're back at home. How will you navigate that as a parent?
So I think parents need to do two things. One, there's going to be a change, so they need to sit down with their kids and come up with a plan as to how they're going to navigate this change. And to show some empathy and to get kids a bit on board, finding appropriate times within their non-school day where kids can engage, as you said, to have that opportunity still. But I think parents are also going to have to set limits. So say, between this time and this time, in this space in our home, be on your phone, do what you need to do socially, because that's not going to be happening at school. But we can't just let it be open season. I think we need to still maintain some limits.
Part of the hardest part for me as a parent when we set those rules up for our kids was also following them myself. So when my kids saw that I too would put away my phone, they felt a little more relaxed in doing it because they didn't feel like it was fair or unfair.
Totally.
What role do parents play in enforcing and normalizing this, what they call the culture change in Ontario schools? And really, it is a big shift.
So two things. One, I think parents need to start having conversations in their homes with their kids and also in a positive light so that...
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, so like kids aren't coming to school with this negative attitude around this change. And then another thing, as you said, we need to normalize this, that we use our cell phones sometimes and then other times we put them away. And I think in our homes, parents need to model doing this themselves, but they also need to let's set up a system. Like, here's the basket. In these times when we're not on our phones, the entire family puts their phones in the basket. And this is going to normalize this, but also give kids practice doing this at home, which is going to help in the school environment.
Listen, something that I hadn't thought about, which was new learning to me, is when I was speaking to somebody who works in the elementary education, so up to grade 6, phones weren't the issue. It's smartphones. So parents have started to give their kids smartphones because it's not a phone, or smartwatches, sorry. Not because it's not a phone, but they want it to keep in contact with their kids, to be able to track them or to connect with them. So what lessons do parents need to learn about maybe detaching a little? Yeah,
there's a shift that needs to be made. I think that parents need to say to their kids, whether they're getting in touch with them or their kids are getting in touch with their parents, at these times in the day, at lunchtime and at 3:30, I'll be available. So if you want to call me, those are going to be the times. And those will also be the times I'll communicate with you. And also let kids know that you can contact the school. Parents, kids might not even realize that in this day and age. So let your kids know, I can also get in touch with your school if I really need to get a hold of you.
Well, that's how it ran for decades.
Totally.
The ladies at the front office, they knew everything, and they still do. Karen, thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.